All right. Well, I thought 11:30 was going to be the start time. I was very wrong. There are no people watching in Bloomington anymore. I don't think there's been any people watching in Bloomington since like the first play of the game. It's been an absolute massacre in Indiana. That's the score right now. There's like 2 minutes left. This was far and away one of the most lopsided college football games I think I'd ever seen. See if Indiana can even score again. I've never seen a college football game this lopsided, if you ask me. Big oofs in the chat. Ryan is right there. Oof is right. Talk about a big oof. The Indiana Hoosiers are getting absolutely smacked by Ohio State, 54-7. And what makes this game so much more lopsided and why it's one of the most lopsided football games I've ever seen is the fact that in the entire first half, it was literally Indiana just getting 3 and outs, getting sacked every play, slipping the ball in the rain, slipping on the turf. That was every Indiana drive in the first half, and every Ohio State drive was just touchdown, touchdown. Oh, here's a touchdown. Oh, you get a touchdown. Oh, you get a touchdown, Chris. You get another touchdown, Travion. It was just not even close. It is so hard to kind of pinpoint out new things we learned about this team after a game like this. It's just difficult when nothing has happened in the game. Oh my God. It's about to end here. Indiana's got the ball. Nice handoff. They gain like 3 yards. There's a minute and a half to go. I know IU was not 2-4. I mean, what was IU doing before this game? Lost by 5 to Michigan State in a competitive game, shut out by Penn State, beat Western Kentucky, lost to Cincy in a relatively close game, killed Idaho, lost to Iowa big. It's been a mediocre season, but this wasn't even. I mean, Indiana didn't come to play. Nobody came to watch Indiana. Nobody came to play for Indiana. Ohio State just sleepwalked, which was essentially all they needed to do. All they needed to do was sleepwalk through this game. As soon as Indiana's QB got hit in the first quarter, was Jack Tuttle, then it was like, this is not happening. Because Indiana responded. They tied the game there with their first and right now what is going to be their only touchdown. There's 30 seconds left. It's going to be their only touchdown. The game's going to end 54-7. Let's just see this last play here before we peruse through our discussion. Okay, there's the tackle. 4th down. Oh, are they going to be able to run a play on 4th down? Is it going to happen? Let's get the ticker up here of the Big Ten scores. No, they're not going to be able to run a play. That's game. 54-7 win for Ohio State. Just an absolute mockery of the Indiana Hoosiers. Buckeyes proving that they've got the best offense in the country. Far and away the best offense in the country. Let's just break down some of the stats because OSU just continues to roll offensively. CJ Stroud, 7 incompletions, 266 passing yards, and 4 touchdowns. Another phenomenal day for CJ Stroud. He's just getting better and better every game. Travion Henderson should be a Heisman finalist at this rate. He's having a remarkable season. 2 touchdowns running for 81 rushing yards, 9 carries. Oh, and let's add a receiving touchdown, a 14-yard receiving touchdown to go along with that. He's got 14 touchdowns now, which is 4 away from tying Maurice Claret's OSU freshman record, which who would have thought that would be broken? He's 4 away from tying the record. They're halfway through the season. OSU is 6-1. 6-1 or 7-1? They're 6-1. Yeah, 6-1. And Travion Henderson needs 5 more touchdowns to break Maurice Claret's freshman record, which I think he's going to break. I think it will happen. Phenomenal from Travion Henderson. Mayan Williams scored a touchdown. He got hurt there during the game, but we'll see if he comes back. And once again, the receivers, getting all the catches. Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson, Ruckert had 2 touchdowns. Olave caught his 30th OSU touchdown. Phenomenal. More I see CJ play, more impressed I am getting. That kind of has improved. Right. He's improved each week. Troy, you're right. That's why I think Ohio State is starting to become one of the hottest teams in the country. Every game they look better. Since the loss to Oregon, every game they've played, actually not since the loss to Oregon, since the win against Tulsa, they have looked better every game. They improved from Tulsa to Akron. They improved from Akron to Rutgers. They improved from Rutgers to Maryland, and they improved from Maryland to Indiana. Big defensive performance. Offense was absolutely locked in for the first half. 44 points in the first half. The game was over, beyond over, by the time you got to the whatchamacallit, the second half. 1 second, I'm fixing my Wi-Fi. I'm trying to have less things going on with the Wi-Fi because it said I had like a Wi-Fi warning. So I'm just making sure the stream is nice and smooth. Got the baseball game on the side. But yeah, I want to hear anyone in the chat. What are your thoughts? Cheryl says go Bucks. Yep, go Bucks. Looking really good. 6-1 record. I mean, can we just throw our hearts out to the poor people in Bloomington? You know, it's a Saturday night in October. The weather is miserable. The game is miserable. Just a bad night. At the very least, the Indiana students and fans that went out to Memorial Stadium to watch the game in Bloomington, they were able to, leave after the first few minutes of the second quarter. They're able to go back to their dorms, get ready for some parties on campus, get some sleep for Sunday, get drunk if they wanted to, do it responsibly, of course. But goodness gracious, poor Indiana, those poor fans. They went out there, they thought it was going to be like, oh, this is going to be fun. Maybe we'll score some points. Nope. No, they got nothing. Is this really the Indiana team that they thought they could hang with OSU? No, I mean, Indiana was not ever going to hang with OSU. I think let's be realistic there. This was going to be an OSU win. The defense just impressed. The defense played really well. Nice to see Haskell Garrett back. Got some. I mean, the amount of sacks. Also, Indiana, they couldn't hold their own footing on the field. They kept slipping. The ball kept slipping out of their hands. They couldn't tackle TreVeyon Henderson. TreVeyon Henderson is the best running back ever in the rain. It's confirmed. He literally couldn't get tackled. They needed like 5 guys to tackle him in the rain. It wasn't even a competition. Not to mention, anytime Stroud was in the pocket, he was firm to the ground. He wasn't slipping. He was throwing dimes. Everybody was catching balls. Everybody was catching touchdowns. Indiana's defense couldn't do anything. Nobody could do anything against anybody for the Hoosiers. Ohio State just walked right through this game. No problem at all. They are looking very good. Thought the D looked great. It was Indiana, but they dominated. The O was almost flawless. The backups got some playing time. Good week. Very good week. I have no sympathy for them. They were chanting F Ohio. Jordan. That's fine. I get that. I get the no sympathy. I just, I clap for the people that braved the rain and the cold temperatures. Hopefully they don't get sick. They probably won't get sick because they were all gone by the second quarter. So they probably spent no more than an hour outside in that dreary weather watching Ohio State offense destroy them. I mean, from an Indiana standpoint, I think their equipment guys need to reevaluate their cleats in rain. Maybe get some, stronger studs. Maybe get some glue on there. Ohio State's equipment guys were on top of it. Nobody was slipping. Nobody was really fumbling. It was smooth as can be. No problem. Rain, nothing. Hello, Sage. Shut their asses up. Defense playing more discipline, running more to the ball. Absolutely. Yep, Cheryl, I agree. Ohio State defense, this I think was their best game this season. Against a Big Ten opponent, holding them to a touchdown, and it only came in the first quarter. They basically held Indiana scoreless for 3 quarters, nearly 4. Just one drive where Indiana scored. And during that drive, they injured their starting quarterback, which hopefully Jack Tuttle gets better. I mean, when you talk about bad games, you look at the Hoosier stats. Their starting QB, Jack Tuttle, 41 passing yards, a touchdown, 4 of 7 throwing. Grant Gremmel played 3 of 4 for 9 yards as a QB. That is sad. I could do better than that. And Donovan McCulley, 1 of 6 for 30 yards. Leading rusher had 17 yards. Leading receiver had 35 yards. And then you compare that to Stroud, who had 266 passing yards. Smith and Jigba had 99. It's just nothing. Utter destruction. Literally was utter destruction. Ohio State called any play they wanted. They could do whatever they wanted. There's literally nothing that Indiana could have done to respond to it. The Hoosiers were just basically out there to get pummeled. They couldn't do anything. And I mentioned at the very beginning of the stream, this is one of the most lopsided football/sporting events I've ever seen. I've never seen a football game where it's like the entire first half, one team literally gets 3 and outs every drive, and the other team is just scoring touchdowns every drive. Great improvement. They're getting off their blocks. I wanted to see 4 sacks from the D, and I think we doubled that. I'm very happy with it. Yeah, no, OSU's getting better every week. And there is definitely going to be people around the country that are going to say that Ohio State might be playing as the second best team in the country behind Georgia. It's very possible. It's very, very possible. The way they played today against Indiana and the way they've improved in the past weeks. How many points? Ohio State has the best offense in the country. I don't think there's any team that can hang with their offense. Georgia defense, I think, would give them a run for their money, but there's no other offense that compares to this Buckeye offense. This Buckeye offense is so good. I mean, how many points have they had combined? Let's do some math here. So they've had 4 straight games with at least 50 points. So we got 59 plus 52 plus 66 plus 54. Oh, yeah. You know what? Just a casual 231 points in the last 16 quarters. Not bad at all. They've scored over 40 points in all but one of their games, the one that not being Oregon. Oh, NBA fans coming in here. Not to be that guy. Well, you're going to be that guy by immediately saying that. Talk areas of improvement. CJ's power and accuracy to the boundary is definitely a consistent area of concern. Do you think it's arm strength or inaccuracy, fixable or no? I think something like that is probably fixable. I mean, he might get older and his arm might get stronger. Definitely getting into the weight room is possible, but there's a bit of inaccuracy in there. I have no issue with Stroud's accuracy. I think his accuracy is fine. Maybe those boundary throws are a little bit tougher because you're throwing, in rain like that. I'm not sure, but I think that's kind of a nitpick, which is fine. I can understand if that's sort of the way you're looking at it because you're looking for areas of improvement. I totally get that. So I see it as a tad bit of a nitpick, but that's okay. To each their own. I see what you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. 70 over under. Yeah, what game will Ohio State score 70 points in? Maybe against Purdue, maybe against Nebraska, or against Penn State. We'll get to the Penn State game. Don't worry. I'm very happy about that game. I went to the University of Illinois, so we'll talk about that game. Georgia defense is good, but I do not think the offense can keep up with ours at all. No. No offense in the country can keep up with the OSU offense. OSU has the most talented and most efficient, productive offense in college football. There's no comparison to any other team in the country. The only defense that I think gives them a run for their money is Georgia. Maybe Alabama. I'm trying to think of anybody else. I mean, really, those are the only two that I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, OSU UGA total for an over-under? Ooh, that's actually a good number. I mean, it'd have to be like 70.5 or 69.5. Nice. Just based on odds, but I get that. Yeah, CJ's thrown 14 touchdowns in 3 games, no interceptions. Redonkulous. Sure, it's against sort of the bottom of the barrel teams of the Big Ten, but still, this is conference games. This is conference football. It's finding open guys, throwing to open guys. It helps for CJ Stroud that he has probably the 2 best wide receivers in college football to throw to, and Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, not to mention Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's severely underrated and is really starting to get noticed around the country as a premier wide receiver. Jeremy Ruckert's a great tight end. I would love to see more game time for Emeka Egbuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. I'd love to see more of them. And then, of course, Travion Henderson is the breakout star of the year. The guy's going to have maybe the best freshman season in Ohio State history. He's on that path. No question. Let's not mention users like that. Cool kid. Let's relax a little bit, buddy. SDC, what a thorough ass whipping. For sure. That's the good way to describe it. I think we would watch AL defense. I don't think they are that great this year. They're not that great. What's the score of that game? Did Alabama win? I got a new PC, so I can do sort of a double box here. Yeah, Alabama. Excuse me. Alabama won 52-24. Absolute destruction. Notre Dame beat USC. Texas A&M beat South Carolina. SDSU beat Air Force. NC State and Miami are in a close one for the games tonight. CJ did that in less than 9 quarters. I know. See, what a freaking beast. What a freaking beast, David. CJ's been awesome. OSU looks great. Absolutely great. Think Henderson will break the freshman TD record? Absolutely, Lanny. There's no doubt in my mind. He has 14 touchdowns now in 7 games. There's 5 games to go. He needs 5 more. So he needs to average a touchdown in 5 games. He's breaking Claret's record. No question about it. I'm pretty confident about that. Travion Henderson is on pace to have the greatest freshman year for any Ohio State player ever and one of the best freshman seasons a running back's ever had in college football. That's the path he's on. He was a fine, amazing job from the recruiting team to get him, and he's been a revelation. Incredible player. Claret had a good tweet. He did. What did Maurice Claret say? I didn't know Maurice Claret was on Twitter. I mean, I guess everyone's on Twitter. Let me see. Maurice Claret. Typing with one hand keyboard with my left hand. There it is. Maurice Claret on Twitter. What'd he say? I don't know who made her. Okay, no. Man, this guy is tooting a lot during the game. T. Henderson understands the flow and pace of zone running. Very good at letting the scheme unfold while getting upfield. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Le'Veon Bell, just not as patient as Le'Veon Bell. So when has Henderson played the whole game? I don't know. He hasn't really had the chance to play a whole game because nothing's been really that close. Claret also said the OSU run game is established, which means you'll get the coverage on the wide receivers that you want, which means it's about to be abuse all over the field. Yeah, he called it. Indiana University is one of the best cheeseburger places on campus I've ever had. That's something great about them. Well, hey, positive for the Hoosiers. They have a great cheeseburger place if you like cheeseburgers. More of a future wide receiver room projection. Does Fleming make the 3 deep next year with Jackson having to come back? MHJR. I wouldn't know too much about that, NBA fan, to be perfectly blunt with you. I like to focus on the in-season stuff currently. There's still 5 games to play in this season, and Ohio State right now is the favorite probably to win the Big Ten based off the way they're playing. But they have to win the next 3 weeks before those 2 huge games against the Michigan teams. Fleming might make it. For Henderson to do this with such a pass-oriented team makes his numbers that more insane, right? How good the passing game and the running game is combined is phenomenal. It's really cool to see, Joe. I totally agree. He had a comment on the record? Did he? I didn't see. I'll have to go back to that later. Claret actually said Henderson will break his record. Yeah, I mean, he will break his record. Just look at the numbers. Unless Henderson gets injured or they stop playing him and they start Williams or Teague more, then Henderson won't break the record. If they keep using Travion Henderson as the starter and he gets the amount of carries and receptions he does, he's breaking the record. He's four away from tying, and there's 5 games left. He's on pace to probably have like a 20-22 touchdown season. And Smith and Jigba just keeps getting better too. This OSU team just keeps getting better. Just keeps getting better. And that kind of ties the bow on the Indiana game, because let's face it, it was a destruction. Which leaves us to what we thought was going to be a really big top 10 game the night before Halloween between Penn State and OSU in Columbus next Saturday, but is now not going to be a top 10 game because Penn State inexplicably lost to Illinois, the Illinois Fighting Illini, the mighty ILLINIs, in 9 overtimes at home. They lost 20-18, the craziest college football game in the history of time. 9 overtimes. And what's funny is I was working in the afternoon and I didn't get a chance to watch the game. And I still was able to watch 5 overtimes because I missed the first 4, but then I watched from 5 to 9. Absolutely crazy. I mean, I'm happy Illinois won. Huge upset for the Illini, but oh my God, I cannot believe Penn State didn't win that game. And I can't believe that game went to 9 overtimes. The new overtime, it's like if what happened in baseball. Baseball adds the second runner on base rule for extra innings to try and make games shorter. And let's say that happens, but a game lasts till 20 innings. That's what happened with the college football overtime rules. They changed the rules to have the 2-point conversion, rock, paper, scissors back and forth, and it backfired because it made it go longer. It made it go longer. At that rate, you might as well just stop with the 2-point conversion back and forth. Just have like a penalty shootout like in soccer with the kickers, and you just have a field goal off, and you keep moving back each overtime. Oh, my God. Not happy Penn State lost. I wanted the Buckeyes to be the team which crushed their dreams. Hard to compete with the lost. It's true. Absolutely fair point. Illinois stinks at football. They stunk when I was there and covering the team. They still stink now. It certainly makes the game against Penn State less, not as big of a reputation win, assuming they win the game. But even still, Penn State's still a good football team. It's their toughest game until Michigan State. It's their toughest game they've played probably since playing Oregon. So it's a big one. Got to win that game. Got to look convincing because, like you said, the fact that Penn State lost to Illinois, and if Ohio State didn't convincingly beat Penn State and scored 45, 50 points, or however much, at least 35, 40 points they probably need to score just because of how good this offense is, then it would look, maybe Illinois would beat Ohio State. I'm fairly confident that the Illini would beat OSU. Would probably take 15 overtimes instead of 9. So, time for some video games. Okay. Yeah, nice to watch Penn State go down. Love the far fake on the run. CJ's amazing, learning from the best. He is. Illinois only passed for like 40 yards. I know. Ridiculous. Rules will be changed again? Maybe. It's possible. Penn State will barely be ranked after next week. They shouldn't be ranked. How are you going to lose in 9 overtimes to one of the worst teams in the Big Ten at home? They shouldn't be in the top 25. They should not be in the top 25. They've lost to Iowa and Illinois now. Had a tough game against Auburn. Tough game against Wisconsin. Penn State's not very impressive. And now they have 2 losses. Their chances are done unless we start seeing the Buckeyes, the Wolverines, and the Spartans just completely flounder the rest of the season, which is not going to happen. It's all about Spartans and Wolverines at this rate. The way things are going, that's sort of the rate we're at. But let's shift the conversation, I think, to top 25 because I think that's where things are going to start getting interesting. So let's scroll to top 25 now. Penn State's offense is terrible right now. Absolutely atrocious. Rex is saying 45-10 OSU. Okay, that's a good prediction. I'd go Penn State to score a couple more points. I think the Buckeyes would win that game 38-17 maybe. That's going to be my pick. Yeah, that's the worst loss in the top by far. Yeah, I mean, let me look at the rankings in college football. Because Georgia had a bye week, right? Georgia didn't play. Yeah, Georgia didn't play. Pretty much the expected happened for the most part, except for the fact that Coastal Carolina lost Wednesday. Penn State lost to Illinois. Oklahoma, for some reason, still stinks, but is still undefeated. I've never seen a worse undefeated team than Oklahoma. Can anybody think of a worse undefeated college? Well, actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I take back that statement. Anytime Notre Dame has been undefeated since the BCS era started, they've been worse than this Oklahoma team. But Oklahoma got shut out in the first half by Kansas. You think Illinois is bad at football? Kansas is bad at football. Kansas stinks. They were down 10-0 at half. Atrocious from the Sooners. Yeah, no, OSU's D-line to do whatever they wanted. It's like playing NCAA football on your PlayStation on beginner is what that game felt like. How many sacks did OSU have? Let me check the team stats. Ohio State football. Should be on their website. Let me check the stats. Ohio State University athletics, men's sports, overwhelm Indiana. Stats. There we go. Ohio State football stats. Following error occurred. Lovely. I love that. Go here. What the hell do I just Look at the stats. It's really weird. Kind of want to look this up. Okay, you guys answered the question anyway. Good. I don't have to look for it anymore. All right, 8. So 8 sacks. 2014 FSU that played Oregon in the first playoff was a bad undefeated team. Yep, they were pretty bad. Jameis Winston was busy he found out some good crab recipes, and he was looking to experiment with them, right? That's what he was busy with that year. Good for him. Good for Jameis Winston and his crab recipes. I'm glad he enjoyed his seafood meals. But now let's see if OSU moves up. Because if you look at the top 25, Georgia had a bye week. They'll stay number 1. Cincinnati won. Oklahoma won against a terrible team and played terribly. Alabama won again, and Ohio State won. Do we see Ohio State move above Alabama? I'm assuming all the OSU fans are going to think yes. But let's not forget that Alabama also played very well today. They won 52-24 against Tennessee. To be fair, they struggled a little bit in the first half. They were only up 21-14 at the end of the first half. They really stomped them in the fourth quarter. That's really kind of the difference in that game for the Tide. But does OSU move up above Alabama? I think no. Personally, I wouldn't move Ohio State above Alabama. I don't think Ohio State has enough big-time wins against really quality opponents compared to Bama, because Bama's beat Ole Miss. They beat Florida, beat Miami back when they were ranked. Whereas Ohio State, the only ranked team they've played, right? They've only played one ranked team this year. Yep, they've only faced one ranked team, and they lost to that ranked team, which is going to go against them. If they beat Penn State, then there's a case for Ohio State to move above Alabama potentially. Got more sacks than either of the Bosa or Chase had in their freshman year, and more sacks than Jay Coop had his whole career, I think. Yeah, that kid is a monster. The whole team is full of just amazing freshmen. The youth in that team and how good they're playing is phenomenal. Ohio State looks great. Michigan played well. Who'd Michigan play? They beat Northwestern 33-7. Not a stomping. A big win, but not a stomping. Michigan State didn't play this week. Oklahoma State lost, so Oklahoma State's out of the picture. But, the story is the same for the playoff picture, like we said. Ohio State has to win out. They have to beat Michigan. They have to beat Michigan State to win their division. And if they win their division, I think they can beat Iowa. But again, the question remains. Well, here's what could be bad for OSU. If OSU were to win the Big Ten, and Oklahoma were to finish undefeated, Cincinnati were to finish undefeated, and let's say Bama made the SEC championship and beat Georgia, then the committee might put Bama and Georgia in, which would just be infuriating for Ohio State fans. And OSU would be the first team out. I don't think that happens. I just don't see why. In terms of a football team, Ohio State is so much better than Oklahoma. Oklahoma is not good. The best game Oklahoma's played all year was against TCU, but they struggled to beat Kansas. They had to have a miraculous comeback to beat Texas, struggled against Kansas State, struggled against West Virginia, struggled against Nebraska, struggled against Tulane. Oklahoma's had 2 comfortable wins this year against Western Carolina and TCU. That's it. So 2 wins out of 8 that have been comfortable. Ohio State, every game they've won has been a comfortable win, with the one loss, of course. So I get Oklahoma being undefeated and being ranked above OSU in that regard, but OSU is a better football team than Oklahoma. Absolutely. Yeah, no reason Miami shouldn't be ranked. Miami stinks. Oklahoma or Cincy is out? Yeah, probably. If Ohio State plays the way they're playing and they win out and win the Big Ten, yeah, I don't see why they can't have Ohio State in the playoff. Plus, they know that OSU in the playoff helps the ratings. At the end of the day, they got to think about that too. As much as the committee wants to put the 4 best teams into the playoff, at the end of the day, they know what people want to watch. And they know people would want to watch Ohio State play Georgia in a semifinal, or Ohio State play Cincinnati in a semifinal. Nobody wants to watch Cincinnati play Oklahoma in a college football playoff semifinal, unless you're a hardcore fan / Cincy Oklahoma fan, obviously. But a Cincinnati Oklahoma semifinal doesn't draw an audience. Cincinnati OSU draws an audience. There's an intrigue in there because they're in-state teams playing against each other. Georgia OSU is a big-time matchup, best offense against best defense. Cincinnati Oklahoma doesn't draw an audience. I think OU will catch it up before the end of the year. Yeah, they've got to. And I know we've been saying that every time we've done a post game, but golly, they keep finding ways to win. They got Texas Tech next, then they got Baylor after a bye week. Then they got the Cyclones who just beat Oklahoma State, and then they got Oklahoma State. You'd think they would drop one of those games, and you think they would drop one of these games that they played. You'd think that Texas would be able to hold whatever lead they had and beat Oklahoma. Texas was up 38-20 at half, and they lost 55-48 in that game. That was Texas just completely blew that one. Totally. But where's that loss going to come? When is Oklahoma finally not going to have enough in the tank to lose a game, which would definitely put a Big Ten team in the playoff without question? No matter if Michigan State, whatever team had one loss, won the division or whatever, without question, that's how a team would get into the playoff from the Big Ten. I don't know about Cincinnati. Who's Cincinnati playing for the rest of the season? I mean, Cincinnati you'd think is going to win the rest of their games. They play Tulane next. Tulane is going to be a tough game, I think. Tulsa, another game that could be tough. South Florida. Cincy SMU could be big. SMU looks good. How are the Mustangs doing? Are they undefeated? Yeah, the Mustangs are undefeated. Beat Tulane today, 55-26. Oh, no, they beat them on Thursday. So they play Houston, Memphis, UCF. SMU might be the team to take down Cincinnati, which would knock out Cincy's chances. Baylor could beat Oklahoma. Yeah, Baylor's probably the next best bet. I don't know about Texas Tech, but who knows? Oklahoma struggled against Kansas, so we never know with them. Yeah, at Baylor's a big game. That'll be the big game for Oklahoma. That could be the one where they take an L. Baylor had the week off. They're playing Texas, then TCU, then they're going to play Oklahoma. So we'll see if those L's are taken. But Ohio State, I would say Ohio State is the second hottest team in the country. Based purely on the way they're playing. Not like, I get the whole thing of, oh, they don't have better wins than whoever. Like, I get that. But if we're going purely just based off of watching the games and seeing the way they're playing football, Ohio State is playing like the second best team in the country. Behind Georgia. Georgia is by far the best team in the nation. And I think right now Ohio State is playing like the second best team in the nation. They're the second hottest team in the country. I think they're playing better than Cincinnati. They're definitely playing better than Oklahoma. And then Alabama lost the game more recently. They're playing that well. And the fact that they're playing that well after the start that they had, where they had their struggles against Minnesota, lose to Oregon at home, and then scrape by Tulsa, really, in a game that fans were completely, furious about the way that CJ Stroud was playing and everything, and the way they've improved and the way Buckeyes have been playing recently. Breath of fresh air, completely. OSU's better than Georgia? I don't think so. I don't think OSU's better than Georgia. Georgia's defense is too good. Georgia's defense is like an NFL defense. Ohio State's offense is like an NFL offense. Those two would play each other, and it would be the best against the best. It would be a great game to watch, and I really hope we do get a Georgia-Ohio State game, whether it's in the national championship or in the college football semifinal. I think Georgia is better than Ohio State. I think their defense is good enough to win them football games, and guess what? If your offense can put up a couple points here and there, but your defense doesn't give up any points, Georgia, you'll win games. But to be fair, Georgia's offense is not that bad. Georgia scored over 30 points in all their games except for the Clemson game where they scored 10. They're 56 against UAB, 40 against South Carolina, 62-0 against Vandy, shut out Arkansas 37. 37 is not a little amount of points. That's a good amount of points. That's 5 touchdowns. close 5 touchdowns against Auburn, and then 4 touchdowns against Kentucky. So it's not like their offense is that bad. It's not as good as OSU's, but their defense is just ridiculous. They haven't given up more than 13 points in a game this season. 13 points. Ohio State's defense is prone to potentially giving up more points. But they haven't. Here's the thing: they're dominating teams. I get that, but just because they haven't shown the capacity to compete in a shootout is actually a good thing. They've shown the capacity that they other teams can't score against them, which is enough for me to say that means they're a better team. What offenses have they proven themselves against? I mean, they played Clemson, who we all thought was amazing, but obviously their offense didn't perform really well against a Clemson defense. But here's the thing. You could say the same thing against for Ohio State. You could say the exact same thing. Who has OSU's offenses proven themselves against? Indiana, Maryland, Akron. Who has Georgia's offenses proven themselves against? Arkansas, Kentucky, South Carolina. You could make the same argument for both teams. You could make the same argument. Yeah, top 50 offense, whatever. I don't care what offense they're playing. I would get a shutout against an FCS team, but they shut out 2 SEC teams. Yes, Vandy's not very good. Arkansas is not a bad football team, and they shut them out. I think Georgia's better than Ohio State. I like the way they play defense. They look good. I'd love to see the matchup. It'd be a great game. I know. No, they scored 10 against Clemson, not 3. Clemson scored 3 against Georgia. But that was before Clemson had a complete confidence tank. There's something to be said about teams that are highly ranked, might lose their first game, and then they think, are we really that good? And Clemson kind of had a complete tank. Fell off the earth. After that loss to Georgia, they probably thought, we're probably not that good. The confidence just probably shattered because since that game where they played good defense and looked okay, I mean, their offense was terrible. They just haven't shown it. Georgia Tech, they didn't play well. Lose to NC State, losing to a good Pitt team. Pitt's looking really good. I like the way the Panthers looking. Yeah, Clemson stinks. But I said Clemson first, but I'm like, yeah, but 10 points, so discount Clemson. Indiana was a verified top 30 defense and played like 4 top 10 teams. Sure, fair enough. Let me look at Indiana's results. So let's see. Verified top 30 defense. Yeah, defensively they've been okay. Gave up 34 to Iowa, 38 to Cincinnati, 31 to Western Kentucky. But yes, very good defensive performances against Penn State and Michigan State. They only gave up 24 to Penn State, 20 to Michigan State. That's pretty good. The offense only scored 3 points against Clemson. The other touchdown came from a pick 6. That's true. Their only touchdown came from a pick 6. So their defense scored for them in that game. So, but since then, the offense has been able to score some points, but it's the defense that wins Georgia football games. And I think the Georgia defense would give Ohio State a really good test. Again, I would love to see that game. I think it would be really fun. I think OSU is the best team in the country. I don't think OSU is the best team in the country. You're not buying into the Georgia stuff? Okay, fine. I'm buying into it. I just thought the way that they shut down Clemson defensively, I thought the way that they shut out Vandy and Arkansas consecutively, how they looked against Kentucky, very good. I like the way that Georgia plays. I think they're the best team in the country. But I will probably think differently if Ohio State goes out there, dominates against Penn State, dominates against Nebraska and Purdue, and then goes ahead and stomps on Michigan State, Michigan, then Ohio State's the best team in the country. No doubt in my mind. Even if Georgia were to do what they're doing for the rest of the season, I think if Ohio State can play really dominant football against the Nittany Lions, the Spartans, and the Wolverines, then I would say Ohio State's the best team in the country. For sure. Who doesn't shut down Clemson? Multiple teams. It's not like Clemson's lost every game. So, I mean, Clemson is still a prestigious program, but yes, they just haven't been good this season. I mean, Clemson beat Boston College, Syracuse, but these are all close games. Yeah, Clemson's just had an off season, man. The ACC in general is just fun. Oh my God, Clemson's going to play UConn. That's going to be a hilarious game. Hilarious game. Arkansas is Arkansas that bad offensively? I mean, Vandy's that bad offensively, but I don't think Arkansas is that bad offensively. Yeah, let me see Arkansas. They're not ranked anymore, granted. The thing with college football, teams' reputation and teams' rankings, it just is so out there. Let's see what I mean. Arkansas scored 40 on Texas. Texas defense not very good. 51 against Ole Miss. That's not bad. 23 against Auburn. Yeah. UGA and OSU. Yeah, I agree, David. OSU and UGA are 1 and 2, no doubt. I completely agree with that for sure. I think OSU is better than Oklahoma and Cincinnati, and I think they're better than Alabama. But I'm not ready to put them ahead of Georgia. Not quite yet. If Ohio State scored 60 points and shut teams out, then yeah, they'd be better, I think, based off the way they've been playing. But I don't know. I really like Georgia. I think they're a better team right now. But here's the thing with college football. There's all the hypotheticals. OSU might not even play Georgia this year. We might not ever know which team is better. Like I wish college football was kind of in a way where you could see more of these teams play against each other. I'd love to see more of the big time teams clash against each other. I would love to see an expanded playoff because then we could really get past all like the hypothetical situations of like, what if Georgia's defense played against OSU's offense? What would it be like? Who's the better team based off of them playing completely different opponents and seeing those teams like play in the regular season to get like a good opportunity. Waiting for the disaster to happen. OU. Yeah, OU might lose too. That's true. How is Georgia different than Oklahoma on a year in, year out basis? They're literally the same team with different emphases stylistically, and Georgia recruits a little better, but get the same result. Well, I think Georgia's a little different because they play in a tougher conference. The SEC is better than the Big 12. The defenses are better. The offenses are not better. The defenses are better in the SEC than in the Big 12. That's the difference. So they play tougher teams. Maybe from a team standpoint, the way that they're designed, the way the scheme is, and the way they play, they're very similar. I agree with that. But they're not literally the same team. No team is literally the same team. SEC is better than the Big 12. You can't tell me the Big 12 is better than the SEC. Nobody in the Big 12 can play defense. And I'm sorry, when you're playing other teams in your conference, D1 schools, and you're shutting them out, that is damn impressive. I don't care who they're playing. That's impressive. It's very difficult to shut any team out. FBS v FBS, SEC v SEC. How many times do we see an SEC team shut out another SEC team, no matter who it is? Not counting Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is the exception. Vanderbilt's the only team that I think gets shuts out consistently in the SEC. It's very, very hard to shut teams out in any of the Power 5 conferences. Yeah, that freshman quarterback from Ohio State's pretty good. Absolutely. CJ Stroud's awesome. Great player. He was great today. OSU looked great today. And I hope that they can make the playoff. They keep winning. Why is Vanderbilt in the SEC? When did they join the SEC? That's a good question. Let me see. No, not the Securities and Exchange Commission. I don't care about the government right now. I care about the Southeastern Conference. Thank you, Google. When did Vanderbilt join the SEC? 1932. Oh, they've been there a while. Yeah, I mean, geographically speaking, I mean, they are kind of close. Tennessee is kind of like that bridge between the Midwest and the South, whereas Kentucky is more Midwest, but UK is obviously in the SEC. The SEC, yeah, I mean, a lot of states cover the SEC, but I get why they're there. Obviously, they're not very competitive in football. Yeah, the Big 12 defense holds the cows in. Why? Yeah. 19th, yeah, I know. 19, but when they play those tougher top tier teams, what happens? They lose every time they play a 1 or 2 ranked Bama or LSU. They lose. Trying to think with Georgia. I mean, Georgia beat Oklahoma in the playoff the one year they were in. They did lose to Alabama, yes. So historically speaking, yes, but we're talking about this season. Oklahoma, I think, is a better example of a team that's in a Power 5 that, yeah, Oklahoma can go undefeated, but they can never prove themselves against an SEC team. They can't beat an SEC team. But, yeah, when did Oklahoma beat Alabama? When did that happen? I'm trying to remember. Because I remember Alabama beat Oklahoma in the playoff when Kyler Murray was there. But yeah, Georgia plays better against top-tier teams than Oklahoma because they play in a better conference and they have better tests in the regular season. You know, that's I think is the difference. Less than 10 years ago? Yeah, what was that? Like 2013, 2014? I think it was before the playoff era. It was one of the BCS bowls, I think. It's jogging in my memory. I'm trying to bring it back. I don't remember. But yeah, Christopher, you're right. Yeah, before the college football playoff. That's right. It was in like a BCS bowl or like one of the New Year's bowls before the BCS. I don't even remember what they were called at that point. So Oklahoma, but here's the thing. Oklahoma's made the playoff more than Georgia because Alabama has been the top team in the SEC. Because Alabama has just been the be-all and end-all cornerstone of college football greatness for the last like 12 years. They've obviously had off years, but what? They've won 50% of the national championships in the last 12 years, which is an insane ratio. Oklahoma and Texas will fall into obscurity in the SEC in the next few years. I wonder. Sugar Bowl after 2013. That's right. It was the 2014 Sugar Bowl. I wonder that too, David. I mean, Oklahoma and Texas are both better than Vanderbilt and Missouri. I think that's fair. This season they are, and from a program standpoint, historically, yes. I mean, historically, Oklahoma and Texas are technically better than most of the teams in the SEC. I'd argue the only programs, historically speaking, that are better than Oklahoma and Texas are maybe like Alabama, LSU, and Auburn, potentially. Maybe that's it. Texas will fall into obscurity. Texas has fallen into obscurity a while ago, more than a decade ago. Longhorns have been irrelevant in the college football landscape for a very long time. Sam Ehlinger, we're back. No, you're not. You're not back. Not at all. Now, Oklahoma's good. They're not great. The Sooners this year are not good. The Buckeyes have looked great. Oklahoma has not looked great all season. The best Oklahoma looked was in the second half against Texas when they came back. Who's my top 5 right now? If I had to rank the top 5 right now, and I'm going based purely off of how they've played for the most part. Georgia's the best team in the country at number 1. I got OSU at number 2. Cincinnati at number 3. I got Bama at number 4. Actually, no. Georgia 1, OSU 2, Cincinnati 3, Bama 4, Michigan 5. Georgia, OSU, Cincy, Bama, Michigan. There's my top 5. That would be my top 5. Everyone's top 5 is different. Speaking of different, the Atlanta Braves are 3 outs away from making the World Series. How about that? They haven't made the World Series since 1999. A lot of these teams that are in the top 10 haven't made a national championship in quite some time. Georgia made it recently, since it's been God knows how long. Oklahoma, God knows how long. Bama, they're there every year. OSU hasn't made it in 5 years. Michigan hasn't made it also in God knows how long. Penn State, God knows how long. Oklahoma State, I don't even remember. Michigan State, nope. Oregon, 2015. So it's some new blood. It's nice to see some new blood. You like that lineup? Georgia, Cincy, Alabama, Oklahoma. I'm not putting Oklahoma in my top 5. No way in hell. Yes, Oklahoma's 8-0, but I don't know the way they've played. I don't like the way they've played their games. They're scraping by. Georgia is shutting teams out, embarrassing a lot of teams in the SEC. OSU's offense is the best offense in the country. They've dominated in the Big Ten so far this season. Yes, they have the blemish against Oregon, but their offense is the best offense in the country. I got them at number 2 right now. Cincy is a great football team, very complete. Yes, I get they're not really playing that many competitive teams, but again, the way they win games, they dominate. Offense scores a lot of points. They had a tough one against Navy. Good win at Notre Dame. Good win at Indiana. I like Cincinnati at number 3. I like Bama at 4. Bama's still a good football team. Lost a tight one to Texas A&M. And I like Michigan at 5 because guess what? Michigan's undefeated. Michigan's undefeated. They beat Wisconsin. They beat Nebraska, Washington. Actually, that's a good debate right now. Michigan or Michigan State. They're obviously going to play each other next week. Who do we all think is going to win that game? If Wake Forest runs the table and wins the ACC, they will not get in the playoff. Nope. The ACC has no shot. The only way Wake Forest could make the playoff would be if Cincinnati, Oklahoma, both don't go undefeated. You would most likely need the Big Ten champion to have 2 losses. So they would need OSU to lose again. They need Michigan and Michigan State to probably lose twice. And they would probably need Iowa to lose again. And then you would probably need Alabama or Georgia to have a loss or 2. And then maybe Wake Forest gets in. You put State, you put MSU. Stop saying the M word. I apologize. I'm a journalist. I have to say words properly. That's part of my contract. I see some Michigan. I see some Michigan State over Michigan. Ooh, man, it's going to be close. That is going to be such a good game. Noon on Saturday, right before Halloween. Cannot wait. I cannot wait for that game. And it will give us a good sense, obviously, which team is better, but also which game could be tougher for Ohio State down the line. OSU will obviously have an edge against Michigan State because they'll be playing that game at home, and they're playing in Ann Arbor. So that's really going to be the test. OSU Penn State will be very competitive. But obviously, based off of the loss to Illinois that Penn State had, then it might be like, maybe it won't be as competitive. I don't know. I would have said the team up north, but I didn't want to confuse people. Yeah, no. There's too many teams up north. I just say the teams. I'm not averse to people saying the word Michigan. I don't think they're evil if they say the word. So I agree, Sage. I see a low-scoring game. I don't know who's going to win, though. I can't pick a winner for that game. I like the Spartans' offense. I like the way the Wolverines have been playing too. I don't know. I think it's going to be like a 17-10 game or something. Maybe like 24-21. Where's the game? It's in East Lansing, right? Yeah, the game's in East Lansing at noon. Hopefully the weather's good. Weather's good. It'll be a better game. I don't want to deal with all this rain. OSU will beat Penn State by 2 touchdowns. That's what I'm thinking. Curb stomping Michigan State, 45-13. Yeah, it's a while till that game. OSU will beat Penn State by 2 touchdowns. Yeah, no team in the Big Ten is close to OSU. I agree, Ronnie. I think OSU is the best team in the Big Ten. Unless we see, I want to see how Michigan State or Michigan plays against each other. Whichever team wins that game, if they win in good fashion, if they win in dominant fashion, maybe there's a competition. But OSU is playing like the best team in the Big Ten. We knew going in there the most talented team. The loss to Oregon just kind of threw a wrench into the equation. So, right, we own them. It's a word that Ohio State fans own. So, and at the same time, I don't know. I'm not the type of person that's going to treat a rivalry and a team that I hate like, they're evil. Like, I'm a New York Yankees fan. I don't like the Boston Red Sox at all, but I'll say Red Sox. If they're playing well, I can acknowledge they're playing well. I don't like to see them win that much, but I'm not going to go crazy if they do well, and I'm not going to be like, man, I'm so mad. But to each their own. Again, it's fine. However you want to say it. OSU only kills their defense, not bad, but haven't really been tested. PSU don't have a chance. They're playing in the shoe. Shoe's a tough place to play, but Oregon had Oregon didn't have a chance in the shoe, and they beat Ohio State in the shoe. The pick 6 is the difference. MSU will get wrecked by OSU. Let's see if they get wrecked first by Michigan. Let's see if Michigan gives them a run for their money first. That'll be the game. If Michigan State loses to Michigan, then the Spartans are pretty much done, unless some weird stuff happens. So, all right. Michigan will go undefeated until the end of the year, and then they will get whooped by Ohio State. That would be the dream, wouldn't it? If you're an Ohio State fan, the dream would essentially be that the Wolverines go unbeaten, host Ohio State, and what Michigan fans will think is the best chance the Wolverines have had to beat the Buckeyes in a decade, and then Ohio State destroys them in their own backyard to end their season and make the Big Ten championship game. That would be quite an ending. Being quite an ending, Atlanta made the World Series. The Braves are going to play the Astros. Who would have thunk it? Dodgers are out. That inside Baker for the Buckeyes is the truth. Hell yeah. Inside backer. Yeah. You guys don't remember the 90s. I don't remember the 90s. I was born in the late 90s. I was too young to remember the OSU. The first memory I have of an OSU Michigan game is I think like 2002 or 03 when Maurice Clarett was playing. My favorite OSU Michigan game was 2006, of course, the number 1 versus number 2. And how great would it be? And as much as y'all want, as much as some people might think like, yeah, it'd be better to play a Michigan team that sucks because OSU might have a good chance to win. It's better for college football and it's better for the fan base to really get into the game if both teams are playing really good football. I would be totally okay with OSU playing Michigan and it's like number 3 against number 4. That would be amazing. So much fun. Still not sold on the defense. A lot of wide open wideouts and missed tackles. They got 8 sacks today. They only gave up 7 points. The defense is improving. I'm not totally sold, of course, but they're okay. They're doing much better than they were in the beginning of the season. Get my ass to sleep? No. I'm not tired. I'm almost done. I got some energy though, so. And remember the 68 Rose Bowl? No, I do not. I was negative 30 years old then. Eichenberg, yep. But I really appreciate you guys tuning in and chiming in on the conversation. Had some good discussion. We've had some heated debate. It's good stuff. But we're all here to have fun. So I have nothing against you personally unless you try to personally attack me. That's all. If you have a different opinion than me, that's okay. We'll have a discussion about it. Big Ten Championship, Ohio State and Iowa. Ohio State will demolish Iowa, get into the playoff, and they will play Cincinnati in the first round and beat them. That'd be fun. Not going to lie. 2016 game. Yeah, that's true. 2016, Ryan. Good call. That's my second favorite OSU Michigan game. Looks like my Wi-Fi is having some trouble. Connection is unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging into your router or moving closer to it. Lol. Cool to see the Big Ten dominance. Been a long time. OSU and Georgia for the national championship. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if those dreams come true. Very curious, but it looks like my Wi-Fi is crapping out a little bit. It might be like blurry to you guys. I'm not sure, but it says I have an unstable connection of some sort. Now I'm back to stable, but I'm probably going to turn in for the night anyway. It's almost midnight. I do want to sleep. I do like sleep. My bedtime's whenever. So, Oregon running the table and winning the Pac-12. Nightmare for Buckeye fans. Yeah, that first down is true. Thanks. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can. Benatar512 is the name. If you want to see more of my stuff. Next week, OSU Penn State. We'll see if I'm here. I might have work that evening. I have to see. I'll have to take a look at my schedule. But guys, go subscribe to Voice of College Football. Mark Rogers, the man, best college football YouTube channel out there. He's probably doing a live stream now talking about some games. So if you want to go ahead and join his live stream, you should go ahead and do that. Also, shout out to Mark for making a video about Illinois. He never makes any videos about Illinois. But he had to because we beat Penn State in 9 overtimes. Love that. All right. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed the show, guys. Appreciate y'all. Have a great night. Great win for the Buckeyes. We'll see if the dream stays alive. Penn State next week. The Scarlet out in Columbus. Bye-bye, guys. Have a good night.